Hi, welcome to D-ConneXion TV. I'm Donzale Powell with D-ConneX LLC. Today I have Herman Hicks with me, and we'll be talking about the banking industry. So Herman, can you please just go ahead, if you can just open us up with just giving us an introduction, about yourself and telling us a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I love this platform. It's a great way to get information out, interview people, and get vital information out to the community.
Right.
So I've been blessed because I'm walking in my purpose and in my passion. As a young child, I knew I wanted to get in the financial industry. And so I didn't understand why people were rich, and I didn't understand why people were poor. And so I set out on a journey at a young age to determine what that was.
Yep.
And so I continued to walk on that journey. I thought accounting was the way to go. And so I majored in accounting, got my accounting degree, got my first accounting job, and quickly realized that's the placement of money. So got over into banking, in the finance and origination of money. And I've been in banking ever since. And my life's work is to really help individuals and business understand how to build wealth, protect wealth, transfer wealth to the next generation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. I love it. So I guess tell us a little bit about your current career, because I know that you have a couple of different outlets in which you do things, helping people as far as banking, financial needs, things like that. So if you could just kind of go through one by one, just so that we have a clear grasp of, oh, he does this with this one, and this is what he's doing with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one that's near and dear to my heart, I'm most passionate about, is elevated development. And that's a 501c3 community organization with a mission of combating multi-generational poverty and financial deficiencies by closing the wealth gap.
Okay.
And we use the circle of wealth, which I'll refer to hopefully later on in our conversation. And that's for high school students. So I'm focused on the high school students. So then we move up to Watch Your Wealth Grow. And it's a financial planning platform for, I would say, not necessarily affluent individuals, but individuals that are hardworking, make decent money, but don't have the resources to tap a financial advisor, a financial planner,
Right.
that sort of thing. And then my day job is working at the bank where I manage our legal private banking. And so I'm in charge of banking for judges, law firms, and lawyers.
Wow.
And that threshold is $500,000 or more in investable assets, in liquidity. And so so that's out of reach for a lot of people. And so really I have a three-pronged approach to try to tap every piece of our socioeconomic system, starting with the children with elevated development, their parents with Watch Your Wealth Grow, and then the affluent bucket where I'm talking to very wealthy individuals.
Yeah.
Yes.
That already have it, and they have every resource and
Absolutely.
all probably 3 financial planners. Okay.
Yeah. They're calling me because they have a nice investment or something like
They
that.
wanna
Yeah.
do. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of the major needs that you see with youth understanding kind of wealth building? Like what are some of those foundational things that you know for sure, hey, I have to cover this because they don't know, and more than likely their parents don't know.
Exactly.
And it's just kind of going from there.
And that's a great question. And I wish that question was asked in high school. So we created something called the Circle of Wealth.
Okay.
And this is what each high school participant learns in elevated development. So we start with sources of income, and we teach it not from getting a degree. You got to get a degree. You got to get it. That's what's drilled in everybody's head. It's more about understanding a skill, putting credentials around the skill, and then charging people money for that skill. So that could be a degree, that could be a license, that could be a certification, commission, that can be all types of things. So sources of income is very important. That's the building block of building wealth.
Right.
The second thing we teach them is credit. We teach them credit is important because the higher your credit score, the lower your interest rates. And it's important to minimize interest charge so you can build wealth.
Yep.
The third thing we teach them is cash flow management. And we use debt to income as our baseline. monthly expenses divided by monthly income should be 45% or less. The reason why we use debt to income, when you go to buy a house, you got to qualify 45% or less to buy that house. So we want them to understand cash flow management. Then the foundation, which is retirement. A lot of the times, our parents or people today quickly dismiss investing in retirement accounts, 401k, IRAs, because it's not cute, sexy. It doesn't have a whole lot of sting to it. But retirement is the best way to start investing because it's tax efficient. And then my favorite part, where I spend most of my day at the bank, is what I call an opportunity fund. There's 3 ways to build wealth. That's investing in real estate, investing in the stock market, investing in business. And so we teach them those 3 avenues to build wealth. And of course, each of those 3, heavy risk, heavy return, but they create residual income or passive income, which rolls back up to sources of income.
Right.
So we call it the circle of wealth because it doesn't stop. And so that's the foundation that we're teaching our high school participants and their parents.
Very, very interesting. So are there tools, like, for instance, when you're doing the debt to income with a team, and of course, obviously, they more than likely they don't have a lot of money, but they might have a little bit. And I heard you pay people. We'll get to that.
Yes,
we'll get to that.
Yes. I love it.
But are there certain tools? Like, are there apps, or like how do they get to where they logistically can actually do those types of things themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we don't have a tool specifically. And I think there's some tools that may be out there outside of elevated development, but we try to keep it fun.
Okay.
So what we do is we will choose someone or a participant that's brave enough to step up and let them use us as an example. And we will actually do, you want to be a doctor? All right, let's say you're a cardio doctor and you're making $800,000 a year. And so we break down buying a home, buying a car, student loan debt, that sort of thing. But we also teach that it's important to protect your credit.
Right.
And cash flow management is a big part of that, because if your debt to income is high, typically your credit score is low. So what I like to do, and I think our student participants love this, is I put them in a situation where they have to choose between paying for their cell phone or paying their car note. And so I take them through different scenarios. And the final scenario that I take them through is you got $100. Your mortgage is due and your power bill is due. Which one are you going to pay first? And every single one of them always say their mortgage, because that's what they need to pay first. And I say, well, y'all going to sit in the dark? And they're like, yeah, we'll sit in the dark, but we want to make sure we pay our mortgage so we can protect our credit. And that's why I just talk to them about getting lights and candles. And, when you buy your home, you need those types of things. So it's important to hit home that debt to income.
Yes.
In an old-fashioned way. We just teach it from the actual calculation.
Right.
Monthly expenses, which is on your credit report. That's why we talk about the credit report, divided by monthly income, and that gives you that percentage.
It's so funny that you gave that example, because when I say my mom used to drill into me, you pay that mortgage if you don't pay
nothing else. Pay that mortgage. Sure. Sit in the dark if you got to.
You eat last, you do whatever. So that is just hilarious that you said that, because believe me, I've heard it my whole life.
Oh, yeah.
So what made you get into the banking industry? I know you kind of said that you kind of grew up and just had that kind of desire to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And then how has it kind of changed over the years, if any? And do you have any suggestions for... I like to always talk about the people that are unbanked, because I'm just concerned, and I understand the predicament that sometimes people that do not have a bank or use banking can be in. So just wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, and that was about 3 questions there. So I'm gonna try to. If I miss one, come back and let me know if I miss one. But the unbanked, let's start with the unbanked. Well, the beauty of what I do is I'm able to bank the unbanked.
Okay.
If there is an opportunity where there is someone that needs to get in, that needs a checking account, as an officer of the bank, I can bypass some of those hurdles and get them a checking account, because that's extremely important.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of unbanked people out here. The bank I work for has a program called Operation Hope, which also allows people that are unbanked to become bankable. And it's a matter of education. It's a matter of tapping into resources. It's a matter of understanding what you need to do to really get your finances in order. And that circle of wealth is good for high school students. It's good for adults.
Yeah.
I use it with my affluent customers, and so that thing is rooted and principled in the economic capitalistic system. Now, what were the other two questions?
Hold on, let's stick on that one for just one more second, because I just want to make sure somebody's sitting on the couch, and I want to make sure that they get it.
Gotcha.
So if I don't have a bank, I'm just not familiar. I'm using the payday place to cash my checks, to do everything that I have to do. Yeah. Or if I need a loan, that's where I'm going to go. Yeah. What are the pluses and minuses with doing that?
I got you. Well, it's about building relationships, first of all. So you want to build a relationship with a bank. Okay. Now, the other side of that is interest rate. Now, we talked about low interest rate. So you go to a bank as a primary lender. So that if you go buy a house or you buy a car, that interest rate may be single digits. Well, if you go to a payday lender or some other outlet, that may be double digits.
Yeah.
So let's talk about scale real quick. If I'm borrowing $100,000 at 4%, I'm paying $4,000 in interest over that year.
Right.
If I borrow $100,000 at 24%, I'm paying $24,000 a year. That's a huge difference right there. And let's ratchet it up to $1 million. That's $40,000 at 4%. At 24% of $1 million, that's $240,000. So that's close to $250,000 in interest on that, because my credit is low and I have to go to a secondary or loan shark to get the money. Right. So that's the biggest difference in my book is you want to establish a bank relationship so you can get low interest rates. And that's going to play a part in your future investments as well, if you're trying to buy commercial real estate and all that sort of thing. So jumping around a little bit.
Well,
but,
no. Yeah. Well, but I like it. Yeah. I'm good with the rabbit trail.
Okay.
Because I'm just curious. So with relationships, is that when you say with a bank, is that with the banker or the bank? Like, let's say I've been with the bank a long time, but maybe I don't have a personal banker that I could reach out to.
Yeah.
Well, how does that work?
The banker.
Yep.
It's about the banker. Because if that banker leaves Bank A and goes to Bank B, you may want to follow that banker to that particular bank.
Gotcha.
All banks do the same thing. It's the same products. It's just packaged up with a different color, different bow. Same product. Okay. So it's the banker that makes the difference. So stick with the banker, build a relationship with the banker. And then that way, that person can allow you to, because what banks do, my job is to manage cash flow, is to manage liquidity, to manage that portion, to manage your investments, to really help you mitigate risk and taxes, and then help you transfer that to the next generation. And that's very important. And so that's my overall goal and job as a banker.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Now, my other two questions, they were kind of combined. So really it was, you hit on it a little bit in the very beginning, just what made you get interested in banking, and then what's kind of changed over the years as far as the industry itself? Like, what have you seen?
Well, I got into banking because I was on this financial journey, and I realized accounting wasn't it. And banking is where you can finance a project, you can invest money, you can hold money, you're creating opportunities for people. And so that's why I got into banking.
Getting to the root, basically.
Getting to where the money the money flows. And then how's it changed? It's changed tremendously. So I got in the game in about, it was like 2001. Okay. So that's, 20 plus years ago. And I was always the only one in the room, in private banking especially, that looked like me. But over time, that has changed to where there's more people of color in non-teller positions. Because I've never worked in a branch before. I've always been in the corporate. The other side of the equation is the clients of a bank has changed as well. So there's a little more migration of people of color into higher level banking opportunities, meaning there's more small business, there's more business owners and entrepreneurs that are now in the banking area as people of color. But I do want to say, this is just my opinion and my theory.
Yep.
Banking is still the probably the most subtle racist institution that we have in America on both sides, from a banker's perspective and a client's perspective, because it's all about money, socioeconomics. And when you have a wealth gap, again, those people that are at the bottom of the wealth gap,
Right.
they don't experience the resources and the opportunities and the knowledge and the information they need to be successful financially. So we continue to make bad decisions. That's why I have elevated development, because I want to catch the kids before they get out there and make bad decisions like I did.
Keep that cycle going.
Keep it, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I love that. So there are many people that are out here in the Nashville surrounding areas, similar to myself. Obviously, we've seen Nashville's blowing up, all kinds of things popping up.
Yep.
Everyone's moving here, and this has been consistently happening now for, I'd say, at least about 5 years at least.
Yeah.
So any suggestions for those that are maybe from here and they really want to get a piece of this growth? They really want to, especially when we're talking about real estate, things like that. What are the things that they need to start doing to prepare on the financial side to be able to make those moves that they might want to make a little, in the future?
Yeah. So great question, because in Watch Your Wealth Grow, I talk to families and individuals that are making good money, but just don't have that financial planning platform to where they can map out their short-term, long-term goals. The biggest opportunity I see, I'm gonna put it in two parts.
Okay.
First part is you've got to retire high interest rate debt. You've got to get out of high interest rate debt the best way you can. And you can do that by leveraging equity in your home. If you have a home, consolidate your debt, use the equity, pay it down. If you've got some cash on the side, just try to pay down your high interest rate debt, because that's going to prohibit you from getting into certain real estate investments, business investments, stock market investments. The other thing that we really need to do is, in my opinion, is really come together. We need to form some partnerships. We need to form business partnerships, not necessarily with people we know, but people that do good business together. And so we don't have to be best friends to be business partners. You and I can get out there and start.
So if the strategy and the vision is in line for what it is, let's figure out how we can make it.
And so let's pool our resources together.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm trying to buy a commercial building at $1 million, and I need 20% down, that's $200,000. Guess what? I may not have 200, but I may have 100. You may have 100. We both want a commercial building. Let's come together and put that. And it doesn't have to just be 2 people. It can be 20 people. And so there are a lot of pockets out here of people that are coming together and showing us that different format. A great example locally is Slim and Huskies. Even though those brothers, they know each other very well. They still came together with different avenues. I think it's a group that just bought a cleaners not too long ago, Stay Fresh Cleaners, that they came together. And, it's good to see people coming together. Because that's how we need to do it.
But I think what I've seen in the past, sometimes there's different stereotypes or stigmas, and people are scared or afraid to do that type of commitment just in case somebody starts to act differently. All kinds of things could happen. So I think a little bit of diligence, and like you said, how are they doing business? What is this track record? Like not just and again, making sure visions are in line and everybody's kind of on the same page. And then, of course, having everything in writing, so this isn't a discussion. This is what we are
signed,
going
sealed,
to do.
and delivered.
Absolutely.
And that's the key. That's what I tell people. Let's put it down on paper. I know some fabulous attorneys that can craft up a document that will manage and govern our relationship. We don't have to leave it to chance. I tell people, don't leave your stuff to chance. Document it, put it in a contract, sign it, and then y'all live by that contract. And that's going to keep you in the right lane. So absolutely. So we can come together as partners and not even know each other.
I agree. I agree. So now I know that I had attended an event where you were training. It was in the Nashville Business Incubation Center. And I think that was one of the Operation Hope ones.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really fabulous. And that was my first time actually getting to hear you talk and kind of break things down for the people that were in the class. So tell me just a little bit more about with elevated development while you're working on that. Some of the major things that you feel like, I know you broke down some of the items that you all cover and go over, but what are some of those kind of reoccurring things that you just feel like these are the ones that I really have to spend more time on or hammer home that maybe someone watching at home is like, maybe I need to start researching this myself. And even if I'm not able to, just again, sometimes parents just need to know themselves even before they might want to send their child to you. But this might also be a learning opportunity for them.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Yeah. And so what I see in our adults, our parents and adults that I work with on the business side is we don't have a lot of liquidity. And we're trying to access capital. You've got to have liquidity. And liquidity is cash, is savings, checking, stocks, bonds, cash value of life insurance. So what I'm teaching in elevated development is you all need to start building liquidity early. That's why we have retirement as one of our key things. And so
why don't they have that though? What have you seen as far as why do most people not have liquidity?
Because we have a wealth gap. So the cash that we make, it goes to the mortgage, the car note, the student loans, the high interest rate debt. So we're not stacking money.
Right.
And so with this wealth gap that was created from the transatlantic slave trade a long time ago, and we can have a whole discussion on that, how we got to here. That has prohibited, I would say 50% that's prohibited us from really building wealth over time and transferring to the next generation. So we're just now starting to transfer wealth, life insurance and things like that. So we have a gap when it comes to information. So a lot of people don't think that investing in retirement is important, but that's the quickest way to build wealth. Because why? It's tax efficient. If you got a 401k, it goes in before your taxes. It's typically matched by your employer, grows compound interest, and that growth is untaxed. So you got all of these tax breaks that you're leaving on the table, and that goes with IRAs and everything. And so that's what we're teaching the high school kids is, hey, when you start making money, go ahead and start stacking. Don't wait until you're 30, 25, at 18, 19, go ahead and start. And then we even backing it up. And you talk about we pay the students.
Yeah, tell me about that.
The reason why we pay the students is, first of all, they need to know what it feels like to get paid, okay? Secondly is capitalism, fee for service, incentive for performance. So as these high school kids engage in the conversation, add value, we're capturing that and we're giving them money. And then at the end, we always do some kind of a drawing where we make a larger investment. I don't even call it a scholarship I call it an investment. And once we give them that investment, then we talk to them about what to do with that investment. Open up a savings account, get a UGMA or UTMA account.
Okay. What are those?
Those are investment tools for minors. So you just have to sign on with your parent. One parent signs on, and as a 16-year-old, you can have an investment account. So you working at Publix, you making a little money, you can go ahead and start stacking money then. So we teaching them to stack money early.
Yes.
So when you get out there and you're 30 years old and you want to buy that $2 million business or that $2 million building, you're not coming to somebody like me with $10,000 in your savings account. You come in with $100,000, $200,000 that you stacked up over time in the last 10 years at 30 years old. And so that's the competition. That's what we're dealing with. That's what I deal with all the time. You know, when somebody comes to me and it's very difficult to get a loan over $1.5 million if you don't have liquidity. And I know I'm talking big numbers. You know, $750, you can get a loan all day long. $250, you know, good credit score. People think, but at $1.5 million or more, credit score is not that important.
Yeah.
It's cash flow and liquidity. That's what's going to get you low. You can have a 640. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe not a 640, but a 680. And you can get $10 million as long as you got cash flow and liquidity. So it's that simple. So I'm backing it up and teaching these high school students about that piece of information that I never received when I was growing up. A lot of us never received that information. And so I think it's important.
I did, I came from that old school household.
Yeah.
It was, you talked to it earlier about get the degree. I got the get the degree. I got the save, real estate, so there were some very core things that helped me tremendously. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They steered away from stock market. Like I really wasn't ever exposed to that, or, just from being around it just kind of sounded like a negative thing. Like, oh, that's not something that I want to do.
Yeah.
So the older that I got, the more that I learned, I'm like, man, I could have been sick. So it is a process to this. So now I'm telling people, I'm telling these younger people, because they're so bright. I'm like, look, I'm trying to tell you, it's one of those where you kind of grab them by the hand. Listen to me. You need to check this out. You need to learn how to do this because you can be set. And I firmly believe in that. And I feel like, we have to do better with getting that out. So I appreciate you doing what you're doing. Just getting the word.
Yeah. And that's what I'm doing. I'm getting the word out because that is the problem. We haven't had that access. Access is important. So you asked me that question about what's different in banking. It's access and information. Yeah. People know about the stock market now. Now, what we got to do is bring proper order to it.
Yes.
Because there's some vultures out there. There's some people trying to make money off of, that's capitalism. That's how it works. But knowledge crushes all of that. And so that's why we have to keep talking to these kids, take them by their hand, look them in the eye. Yeah. Look here.
Yep.
That money that you getting, don't go buy that Gucci belt, those Gucci loafers. We do that in different, what that looks like. Okay, you want this lifestyle? Well, then you're gonna be living poor based on your RN salary, or you want to be a teacher, or whatever your desired profession is. Right. And so that's the other thing that we talk to these students about is, these are the professions that. This is how much money you make. So we got a program called Success Saturdays where we interview successful people, and hopefully I'll get you on the show because you have a lot of different outlets that you're involved with. Yep. Very talented. And so we interview different businesses or individuals about their journey to that success. It's a pathway to success. Yep. And then they understand how much because they may say, I want to be a real estate investor. I hear that all the time. Well, our last Success Saturdays, we had 3 real estate investors.
Yes.
And we put that on so they could hear it. I want to be a CPA. Well, we had CPAs. Our next one is tech. I want to get into tech. So we got Pivot Technology as our guest, and I'll be interviewing those gentlemen about how they were able to do that. And it's a little entrepreneurship in there too.
Good.
And then so on and so forth. So I'm excited about programs like that where students learn, this is what it takes, this is what I need to get, these are my credentials, and this is how much money I'm gonna make.
So tell me real quick, if people are interested in these things that you're talking about, how can they either get in touch with you? Are there things that you have programs that they just might need to be aware of so that they can find you or find what's going on?
Yeah, it's great. So Elevated Development, elevateddevelopment.org is the website address. And I love Elevated Development. I can't talk about it enough. I wanted to wear a shirt. I was really wanting to wear a shirt, but I tried to be professional for you today. Thank you. But we have some great programs. Yeah. One of our programs is Success Saturday. Another one is 5:30 at 5:30, where we talk to high school seniors. It's like their rite of passage, and so it's a seminar where we lay out exactly what you need to do when you turn 18.
Wow.
This is what you need to do financially. Okay. We have another complimentary program called the 700 Club, where we are determined to have all of our participants by the age of 19, no later than 20, have a 700 or better credit score.
Okay, so Real quick,
Mhm.
elevateddevelopment.org. And
elevateddevelopment.org.
you can go and find, you're also at First Horizon.
First
If
Horizon
someone's
Bank.
looking, needs check-in, things like that, right?
Yeah, and then watchyourwealthgrow.com.
Watchyourwealthgrow.com.
Watchyourwealthgrow.com is where you can find me. I'm a heavy contributor to that. I'm not going to, but I'm heavily involved in that. That's an organization that I'm heavily involved with as well.
I'll tell you what, thank you so much, Herman, for being on today. We appreciate it. So much knowledge that I feel like definitely needs to get out there. So thank you. And thank you for tuning in to D-ConneXion TV.